we live in this, as you know, this weird culture with probably misaligned priorities, where if you're a quote celebrity, people expect that you shouldn't have anything to complain about, and that you're allowed to have problems. But sometimes I think you're expected to have problems that are self-destructive problems, like addiction, or you blew all your money you did stupid things. But I think there's almost like a sense that, well, wait a minute, you can get sick, you can get this disease, but you were on television. I know that sounds like I'm saying something that would be painfully obviously true, but I think there is a little bit of a hiccup where you're both beautiful, talented, actresses that people know from iconic work. You got sick? What do you mean you got sick? What did you do? No, I didn't do anything. It just happened, and it happens to a lot of people. Does that feel that there's a weird way in which it's not fitting the narrative of being a successful, celebrity?
Well, I think one of the things that I've come across, and I don't really leave the house anymore. And if people saw what my life was like on the daily, they wouldn't be able to do it, because I can sometimes not do it. It's really, really hard. But I think that the first thing that I hear from people is, how did you get it?
Yeah.
Meaning I must have done something wrong.
Yeah.
In my life to have this disease. I did it to myself. It's like I had breast cancer as well. So, you must have done something.
Yeah.
And that stigma is, I'm used to it now, but it was for a while, like, it was so hard to swallow, because why the F would you think that I would do something to have this?
Yes.
Because this is the worst thing I've ever had in my life. This is the worst thing I've ever gone through. So I'm going to start crying. I'm the crybaby of the two of us.
Cry all you want, and then I'm going to start crying.
I'm just having a pissy day today. I'm having a bad MSE day. So
I'm sorry. But cry, and then I'm going to cry, and I'm going to make my assistant David's here, and you'll cry.
Yeah.
I make him cry all the time.
Every day.
Okay.
Every hour.
I'm very verbally abusive.
Yeah,
This is what this podcast does to people, huh?
But mine is just like me being really verbally abusive.
Yeah, if he doesn't make at least 5 people cry a day,
I feel like I haven't done my job.
Day. Yeah.
I'll tell you, obviously, Christina, where it comes from is, it's terrifying to people that shit happens. And so people need to work backwards and say, okay, wait a minute. Did you eat a lot of food with zinc in it? No, I didn't. Did you take like a lot of escalators? Some people can get MS. No, that's stupid. That was online. No, whatever. I'm making shit up clearly, but it is
you'd be surprised at the cures that I get told about. Like, I have this holy water, and I know it will cure your MS. I'm like, really? That's amazing, because there's millions of us across the globe who still have it.
Right.
And have probably, done this with the holy. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's
the
part of
the fear.
Part of the gift of the position, I think, that we have, that it's, taken me a long time to accept. I think, acceptance is hard for anyone, no matter what you're dealing with. I think it's like a huge challenge in your life to accept that a situation is what it is. But what I'm looking now as an opportunity is what I thought would sort of bring me out of this business. And even when I was out about having MS and working, and it was always people very helpful, like, oh, we'll just walk around it, or we'll get you a walking double when the person walks away, so you look able-bodied and normal.
Right.
Now it's at this point where I'm like, no, if you want to cast me in this is the body I'm in, because my life doesn't revolve around MS. If anything, it could enrich a story. And I think that we don't see enough people like us on camera. We don't see enough people that have disabilities that are not defined by their disability within a story a lot of the time. And so, I think that we do have a position and a power now to really try and change the perception around that celebrities can get sick, but that you can also keep like doing what you love and keep living your life. I think that it's it's very scary for people. And yeah, you can feel like, people are superhuman when they're a celebrity, but no, we're just human beings that are doing what we love. It just happens to be in front of a lot of people.
Right.
And now we can use that power for something else.
It's weird. It's an occupational hazard. I always think it's an occupation like working in a shoe store or anything else. It just has this other side to it, which is people recognize you. They recognize you from working in a shoe store.
That's how Jim Gandolfini felt. I'm sure
really?
he told you that on that plane.
Yeah.
He's like, why don't you want my plumber's autograph? Like it just didn't make sense to him why he had to have that piece of this,
Right. I can completely understand that. One question that came to me is, and this is for both of you, and maybe I'll start with you, Christina, is what's the first symptom, or when did you start to think something feels off? Is it subtle, or does it hit you like a ton of bricks?
It was January 2021. My mom had just been diagnosed with cancer for the third time.
Mm-hmm.
And there was some other stuff going on in my life. And it was a really stressful, traumatic time. And my toes started to feel numb. Just my toes, like a little bit. I was still hiking. I was still playing tennis. I was still doing all the things I could do. But my toes weren't feeling right. And eventually, over those months, it grew from my toes to my ankles to from my knees down. Is a whole other ball game.
Yeah.
And I was losing balance, but the pain was extraordinary. And when I say numb, it's numb, but it hurts.
Yeah.
So it was like these very subtle things that happened. And finally, someone was like, "Well, it was actually Selma Blair said, can you please go to the neurologist?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "No, there's no way that the both of us." From the same movie have MS. I was like, you crazy. And that was the end of it for, and by then I had gotten so bad and I was in the middle of shooting Dead to Me. So we had to really stop for a minute and figure out how to do this. But what's interesting is I look back over time and probably for 6 years, I was having weird things happening. Like fluorescent lights would bother me and make me dizzy. And being up on a platform, I would get afraid of the height. I was never afraid of heights. I'd be playing tennis and my right leg would buckle and I'd be like, ooh, I must be dehydrated or it's too hot out here. I mean, there were the tiniest little things that you would completely ignore otherwise because there's probably an answer for all of them. Mm-hmm. But the numbness in my toes and as it started to grow up was very much announced in my fingers and it starts to, over time, it gets worse, but that's how it happened.
And when you say you've referenced, I think twice now, that you're having a really bad day, what does that mean? You're having a really bad MS day. How does that manifest itself? Is it in the physical? Is it dealing with it? It's the physical and that affects you also emotionally too, I imagine.
Well, yeah. I mean, to go to the bathroom, it's like walking on needles and hot lava. So I haven't really been able to get out of my bed today. So I'm having just a bad symptomatic day. And that can be, from anything and I always get scared that this is now my new normal. And I get afraid that this is the new normal. And then I'll have a day where I'm never good. I'm just less shitty.
Yeah.
So those less shitty days, I'm like, oh, okay, so that was just a symptomatic day. It was like either I didn't sleep enough or I didn't eat enough or I'm stressed out. A lot of times stress or, anything like that really affects it, can make it much worse. But there isn't a day where I'm skipping down, skipped Malou down a street. Although I try sometimes, right, Jamie? I'll send you videos. I'm like, I'm trying to skip. I'm skipping today.
Yeah, exactly.
And then 10 minutes later, I'm like, I can't move a thing.
I can't move. Or else she doesn't have MS. There's TMZ footage of her skipping down the lane, singing Skip to Malou.
Making it up.
This is
Damn,
bullshit.
I'm good. Damn, I'm a good actress if I'm making this one up.
Applegate is so full of shit. Always was.
I would much probably get an Oscar for having Tourette's than I would for and I'm not making fun of Tourette's because I love Balin out loud. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but she's beautiful and I want to be her best friend. But for the cussing.
But also I've noticed that you've always had and I love that you get to do it on Dead to Me. You get to say some of the meanest things on Dead to Me.
So much fun.
And it's and you do it where it's like, yes, you're a really good actress, but I can also tell that you're accessing some part of you that wants to tell somebody he's a fuck stick.
Yes,
and-
I don't know how Liz Feldman knew that I existed on the planet.
Yeah,
like she
yeah.
wrote it, it was already there.
Yeah.
And then she was like, "Oh my God, this is you." And I'm like,
Yes.
"Sadly, yes, sadly."
How did you know I had a filthy mouth and a lot of rage?
Yeah, the best acting job I've ever done is being Christina Applegate out in the public. That is my greatest opportunity.
That's your Oscar.
Smart,
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah. Everything's good.
Cheery.
Yeah.
And then I'm home and I'm like, "Fuck this shit."
That's what podcasts are for. And
That's right.
And Jamie-Lynn, when did you know that? What happened? How was it for you? Is it the same? Does it start with like tingling in the toes, or what?
Yeah, that was actually pretty similar for me. When I was 19, I had something similar, like weird numbness in my toes, and then it was rising over a couple of days. And it was actually right before we were starting the third season. And I ended up in the emergency room and then the ICU for 14 days. Nobody could figure out what I had. They had ruled out MS at the time because there was no findings on MRIs or whatever. And I got diagnosed with Lyme's disease actually initially. And they had me on a bunch of steroids and antibiotics. And in hindsight, I think the steroids is what like picked me up out of it. But a year and a half after that, started to get that numbness again and went to I was in the middle of the fourth season. And I started to feel the numbness. I thought I was just going to kind of ask for more antibiotics, and they redid testing and diagnosed me with MS. So it was shocking and not at all what I was expecting to hear.
And to hear it, I mean, at that age, you've got to just be, I don't know, felt like you got hit like by a meteor, like you're standing in a cornfield and a meteor hit you. Like it's.
Yeah, it's weird. I can remember sitting in the hospital room and my parents were there and I had two friends too. And the doctor was talking. After he said it, it became kind of like in a movie where all of the talking just starts sounding like muffled and like the room kind of gets dizzy. And I just kind of blocked it out. We went home. I spoke to my family about it. I went to a doctor's appointment for like a checkup for the show. Like you have to get like a sign off that you're healthy. And I told him, and he told me I wouldn't repeat that again. And so that's what I did.
Wow.
I just kept it quiet.
I didn't know that part.
Yeah, I mean, he was trying to protect me, and I understood, you know. But
it's a hard one to hold in, though, babe. Especially when you are the best at teaching me to advocate for myself and to have boundaries on set and to say, "Hey, this is what I need." You gave me that power, and for you to have to go every day and take that,
pretend this isn't even happening.
No, I
feel
can't
like
even.
You can't talk about it.
It makes me want to sad. Face.
Well, it's interesting because we have all these fears. There's a terror. It's not, just in our culture. It's in many cultures. But particularly we have a terror of people who maybe we've idolized or put up on a pedestal in any way, being sick. The same way we do. There's this whole attitude about people getting older, and that's something where people are constantly feeling that they need to scrub how old they are, or do things or go through ridiculous procedures to make sure that nobody thinks that they're the age they are. It's another kind of, let's just pretend that this doesn't happen to people. And I've taken the very bold move of having no work done. And I think...
So brave.
So brave.
You're so brave.
Thank
You're
you.
so brave.
Well, I think of the three of us, I'm the brave one.
You are.
Okay.
And in a way...
You're the hero. You're
I
the
think
hero, Conan.
maybe the one who's been through the most. Because maybe I'm going out on a limb here, and I'm told I don't have the best sense of the room.
Yeah.
But I'm just letting it go as a 44-year-old man. I'm just letting it happen.
No one is fact checking this.
No, there's no internet. Never was and never will be.